everyone. Today in Teaching Side Hustlers, I want to talk about startup fatigue. And that is a name I made up myself, totally. It doesn't exist. But it does exist. And this is something I've experienced myself, and I have watched my coaching clients go through this too. And what happens is, starting anything up, your learning curve is like this. You know, you're constantly learning new stuff. It's frustrating. You're failing all the time. You make little inches forward as you go, but it's not like, it's not like you're not always in the flow and loving it at first, right? At first. It's just like when you start working out, same thing. It doesn't feel good at first. Well, when you do a startup, which is basically what this is, you're starting up a business, your side hustle. So, one of the things I see is very common is people give up. I've seen people quit businesses like on the 1 yard line from being launched. It happened more than once. I've almost given up that close and in fact have given up, if I'm honest. I've gotten really close and got burned out. And luckily, I still have them in the back burner. And I'm thinking now that I've had a little break, and I think, I'm going to go back to that thing that I took a little bit down the road and then kind of burned out and didn't finish. I'm going to circle back to that. But what can I have done, and what can you do so that doesn't happen? Or if it does happen, we can get back on our feet. So I've got 3 ideas for you. First, I want you to take a break. Obvious answer. You need to stop working. You need sleep. You need to have a beer. You need to go have fun where possible and safe in these times of ours. But you need something that is not you working. Especially as a side hustle, you're working in your teaching job all day, and then you're working on your side hustle either before school or after school and weekends. If you're like me, I get a bit obsessive compulsive when I'm really excited. So I can put the kids to bed and I can spend 3 hours working all night. And if you're in that zone, at some point you max out, right? So you have to have a break. Force yourself to say, when I'm starting to feel that like stress and I don't know, all of that, I want you to go, break time. Or force yourself to like not work Sundays. Either enforce breaks yourself or be really monitoring your frustration levels. So that's number 1. Number 2, make a plan and look at the plan. Sometimes what I've noticed is if you don't have a plan, you just keep doing stuff. And you're not aware of the fact, you're not checking off a checklist of stuff like, okay, I'm going to launch my thing at the end of this step. Right? Let's say 10 steps, right? Building my website, getting my email thing, And at 10, I launch and I can start talking to people about my new side hustle. Well, if I'm at like 7 or 8, if I can look at that list and go, I'm so close. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Take a break. But when I come back, I'm just going to, if I can just push through, it gives you that little resilience, to push through because I'm so close. Conversely, if you are on step 2 or 3 and feeling burnt out and you look at all 10 steps, which is why it's important to make a plan. So you look at all 10 steps and you're on 2 and you're burned out. You know what? Maybe you shouldn't be doing the stuff in the weeds. Maybe it's time to go to Fiverr and get somebody to do it for you. If that means you have to sacrifice a Starbucks to hire someone else to do your PDF, do it. Right? If you have to if you have to work a different kind of thing to pay for the Fiverr, do it. If it saves your mental health, do it, right? So sometimes we have to solve our problems with money, if we can, right? And we're not talking big money. Like Fiverr's not big money. My logo cost, $50, which is crazy cheap for a logo. So sometimes you might be taking on too much yourself. So make a plan, figure out how close to the finish line you are as motivation, and maybe start making a plan B if you are getting in the weeds too much and you're not getting much done. Maybe, like if you're spending all hours and hours and hours on lower level kind of tasks, you're not moving your business forward. And it feels frustrating. to sit there figuring Photoshop out, when someone in Fiverr does that all day long, and for $10 you could just tell them to deal with it, right? Okay. Last, understand what you're afraid of. I was feeling this the other day, and this is what got me thinking about this for today's episode. I was feeling I think it could be a lot of things. It could be feeling the overwhelm of all the tasks sometimes, and I've chosen an especially complex business, doing live shows. There's just a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes here. And so one of the things, as I was starting to think of, well, what's this anxiety building in you about the work? And I started to think about all the failure stuff. Oh, at some point you put so much work in, suddenly the stakes are high for you because you've told everybody, you've spent money, you've spent dozens of hours on this thing, and it's not ready yet, right? So you've got fear building in you around, what if this is a flop, right? And you may as well say the fear out loud. All of us entrepreneurs have this fear. What if I've made a terrible mistake here? Why don't I just quit? And no one will know, right? And I'm here to tell you, don't quit. Don't quit. First of all, one of my things that I live by is a Michael Jordan quote that I saw, where he said, "I've failed." I know he says, "I've lost 300. I missed 300 shots on the net. I've lost blah 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 games. Da 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 da. I've lost, and that's why I'm successful, because he keeps going and going and going. He keeps shooting at the net, right? I'm not a sports person. It's net, right?" Anyway, I love that quote. So don't give up. And you got to know that other entrepreneurs are just in the same boat as you, and you're almost there. And you know what? I failed at a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not up here, yelling from the rooftops all the failures that I've had, but I've had a bazillion. And you know what happened every time I failed? I learned something. Don't do that. Don't do that thing again. Or you know what? I'm going to do that thing differently next time. You regroup, go at it again. And every successful person out there has failed or has reached that frustration level and needed to just, push through. You can also get coaching by somebody, myself or somebody in a specific area, like a podcast coach or, something that's very dedicated to your subject area. And sometimes that's all it takes, because they can give you those little course corrections to make life either easier or different or help your pathway. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today. That's some of my ideas on startup fatigue. Anyway, keep hustling, my friends, and have a great day.